morning, guys. I hope everyone is well. I wanted to come on here this morning to share with you guys a dream God gave me because He told me to share it with the group. So I feel like I need to share this early because it's kind of a warning. So I prayed before I came on. So we're ready to go. In this dream I had this morning, I was walking to a destination. And as I was walking, I was on the phone with my mom. And I don't know exactly what I was saying, but I do remember that it was really good news. And I was so excited, right? And so while I'm walking and talking with her, I take a turn and I'm walking, and I realized that I was distracted. And when I looked up, I realized that I went the wrong way. And when I was looking around, I saw there was a man sitting on a bench staring at me. And I automatically felt like I was in danger. And you know, like when you're walking and you feel like something's up, like you're like something's off, you tend to look behind you like, let's see if someone's following me. Well, that's what I did. And there was a man following me, and he had a red backpack on. And then when I looked in front of me, there was another man coming towards me, and he had the same exact red backpack on. And so I knew something was up, like I was about to get attacked. And so I told my mom on the phone, call the police, and I just hung up. And I looked for a way out, right? And then I saw that there was a bus, like people were mounting on a bus. And I ran there, I got on the bus, and and it took me straight home, okay? So this is the revelation God gave me about the dream. When we walk with God, right? That's like me. We're heading towards a destination, right? Our journey with God will lead us towards a destination. And during this season, like I've been telling you guys, God's really about to show up and show out for His people. This is going to be a season of abundance and blessings. And what I understood from this dream is that as these things start to happen, or before they happen, we have to be careful, because the enemy's really going to be looking to who he can attack in this hour, okay? And so sometimes when we're being blessed, we get so overwhelmed with the blessing, or we get overwhelmed with knowing that it's coming. Like, you know, we get so focused on the how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen that it causes us to get distracted, okay? And so when we get distracted, we end up taking wrong turns, right? Because we're not looking at what God is telling us to do. We're too focused on what's happening. And when we do that, we create open doors for the enemy to come in and spiritually attack us. And so in the dream, the red backpacks, the men wearing the red backpacks were the warnings. They were the warning signs. And if I had been focused on where I was going, instead of, you know, on the phone sharing all this good news, I would have realized that there was already a warning behind me, and I wouldn't have taken the wrong turn. The man sitting on the bench watching me was the enemy. And that's what happens during these seasons when God's about to bless you. He will come and be watching your every move, looking for an opportunity to derail you, because he can't take away your blessing. He can't take away your blessing, because if God said He's gonna do it, He's gonna do it, right? Like the word says, God's not a man that He shall lie, and His word will never return to Him void. But the enemy can delay it by distracting you. So that's the warning that God's trying to give us right now. Stay focused on Him. Stay attuned to what He's telling us to do in this hour. Whatever was the last instruction that God gave you, stay on that until He gives you a new instruction. Don't get overwhelmed or too hyper focused on the how and the whens and all that. Also, just another note, like another little warning: be careful who you share your things with in this hour too, you know, or even if you should be sharing. Like, I encourage you to take it to the Lord before you start telling people about what he's doing in your life, because you're going to start seeing his hand in the details, and it's going to be his way of telling you, like, I'm coming through. But you have to be careful who you share these things with. And it might even be like the people who you would consider to be like, you know, your closest people. You have to really pray for discernment before you share anything, because they might not even mean harm, but it could just be like there's deep down some type of like jealousy or envy. And so you're telling them these things, and like subconsciously they don't even realize that they're kind of hoping it doesn't happen because of that deep down jealousy or envy they have. And that creates an open opportunity for the enemy to come in and attack you. So be very careful who you share your things with and what you share in this hour. The last thing I wanted to highlight about the dream was when I finally looked up and was looking for a way out, I saw that there was a bus there, and the bus took me straight home. And that reminds me of the verse 1 Corinthians 10:13, where it says that when you're tempted by the enemy, God will make a way out for you. I'm paraphrasing. And so if some of you find yourselves that you're in that situation right now, like maybe you were walking with God and then you realize like now you're getting spiritually attacked all the time, and as you're listening to this word, you're like, oh, now I get it. Now I understand how I ended up getting off track. You know, now I understand why I'm being spiritually attacked. There is still a way out, but you have to seek God for it. You have to get back into your secret place, get in alignment with God again, so that he can tell you how to get out of this, right? And break through this spiritual attack. And so I wanted to share this early because I feel like God put it on my heart to share it with the group. And so I feel like I need to share it early, because this is probably like what we're going to start running into. You know, the enemy never really knows what God is up to. He watches our actions. And so when we start blabbering everything God's saying and showing us, and when we start, you know, getting all distracted, that's when he starts figuring out what's going on, and that's when he tries to make his move. So really, I encourage you all to move in silence right now. Move in silence. Take it to the Lord if you have any questions. And if you do want to share with somebody, like, pray on it first. Wait for God to give you confirmation. And so that's basically what I wanted to say this morning. Oh, the verse God gave me associated to this dream was 1 Peter 5:8. And it's like the enemy prowls around like a roaring lion looking who to devour. So he's really trying to warn us right now. And I also wanted to add, this message is for people who have been diligently seeking God for some time and have been waiting on a promise, on something, an answered prayer. This is who this message is for. So if you don't know if that applies to you, I encourage you to go to God, pray about it, and ask him if this word applies to you. Okay? I never want to be the person who just brings messages of like prosperity and like false hope. You know, not every message applies to everyone. So you have to make sure that when people share what God gives them, you take it to God personally and make sure it applies to your life. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to share, guys. At the end of the day, this is going to be an amazing season. I keep telling you guys that because it truly is. It's going to be an amazing season. It's going to be a season of open doors and answered prayers. And we just have to make sure that we are careful to stay focused on God, to stay listening for his instructions, so that we don't get distracted and overwhelmed when we start seeing these blessings unfold, because it's so easy to get distracted from the joy. You know, it becomes like the joy of getting an answered prayer is like almost uncontainable sometimes, and it's like you just want to share with the whole world, but you really have to use discernment and self-control in this hour, and just let God guide your steps. And at the end of the day, we can only control what happens today. There's no point focusing on what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen next week, because we have no control over that, right? Sufficient are today's worries. So just focus on what God is telling you to do today. All right? So with that, I'm gonna end this. I pray you guys have an amazing day. I'm praying for you guys. If there's anything that you want to share, if you guys need prayer for anything, feel free to send me a message on my Instagram at Made for the Deep. But other than that, que Dios me lo bendiga. God bless you. I love you. Have an awesome Friday. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.